Good evening everyone, I'm Nat Adamopoulos and this is Full On Football, the show that promotes local South Australian football. Well, what a week we had after last week's show, and of course all games were played on Anzac Day. Our soldiers of football played those games and some very interesting results came out of some of those matches. Of course some of those matches were also postponed because of the nasty weather that we had, so they're going to be rescheduled at a later date, and we'll have a look at all of that and more on the show tonight. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit different. Normally we bring you fellas from our local league that are our local players. Tonight we're doing like a bit of an import show. We're looking at a couple of fellas that have come over from UK and are coaching, playing within our local leagues, and thought it'd be nice for you guys to get to meet them. First cab off the rank is Andy Thorp, and he's playing with Western Strikers, and also joining us tonight is Neil Young. Well, he is a club legend, let me tell you, from his old club back home, and he's actually at the moment coaching and playing with Cumberland. So welcome to Full On Football, guys.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you here. Now, as I said, you come over here from UK, playing the game. Wanted to have a bit of a chat about you guys and what the standard of football, how you think the standard of football is. First of all, with you, Andy, let us know where you're from and who you played for, and what brought you over here, I guess.
Okay, from Manchester.
Oh, you've made friends with me straight away there.
Obviously a big United fan. Played for a team called Trafford, who play in the Unibond Division North, so it's semi-professional. Came over basically just with the idea for the experience, come to Australia and also to play a decent standard of football over here. I'd had a look at some of the leagues on Wikipedia, and obviously the top divisions in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, obviously Adelaide and in Perth, and just to come over, test myself at a good standard of football, because I'm playing a decent standard in England, and just thought, see what it's like in Australia. So that was the idea, and obviously decided on Adelaide basis on the. I sent emails out to all clubs, Melbourne, like I said, all over the country, and Super League was really good. Like there's 4 teams got back to me.
Okay.
So I thought, if I don't get in with one, there's always a chance I could fall back on another team. And I also wanted to come over in January because I wanted to give myself a really good opportunity for the pre-season. I knew the training for pre-season was going to be tough, so I thought I started emailing teams in November, even before that October, just to give myself a chance to tell them what I was doing, and then obviously the idea to come over and play. So yeah, 4 teams got back to me, and I sort of took it from there. It was very vague, just did it all on my own back, didn't really know how to go about it, but yeah, that was it. And obviously now I'm here playing for the Strikers. So. And
can I say I have watched many of your matches and very, very pleased with the way you play. You've got a lovely style of game. Now Neil, yourself, as I said, you really are a club legend back home with your team Bournemouth over there. Played over 400 senior games and basically over 500 within the lower ranks as well.
Yeah.
What brought you over here? I mean,
yeah, it was,
I'm miffed as to why you'd want to come over here. I know that your last year or the second to last year you had a bit of injury problems.
No, it was well, it wasn't a tough decision really. I mean, it was I was coming towards the end of my career. I was 35. I was thinking to myself, what I'm going to do now, because I'm up for retirement. I know it may sound a bit funny, but at 35, as a professional footballer,
well, it's true, isn't it?
You get to retire at 35. Yeah. You get your pension at 35. So it was a decision that, for me, that I could have been one of a million coaches in England. So for me to come into a different country and with the skills and the background that I've had, to come and bring it over here, it was something new for me, a new challenge, and something I've got my teeth into. And I've been in 9 months now, and I'm loving it. 9 months and having the baby soon, are we?
No,
don't say that.
No, look, I know that you're involved with Jason Hayhurst and Football Focus, who we have had on the show a couple of years ago. So obviously the focus is on junior football development.
Yeah,
very interested to hear you speak about that.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's why I'm here. I come over here. I come over here 2 years ago, and I was still looking to play. Play over here, obviously like I'm doing now. But I had a meeting with Adelaide United. They questioned my age, which was fair enough. I said, what about if I come over and coached, whether it be youth level or reserve level or something like that. I didn't realise that they didn't have no youth structure over here as yet, which they're trying to bring into the game now, which it needs. So, you know, I went back to England, and I was sitting there and I had an email from my brother-in-law who's living out here, and he see Jason's car go past, and I had Football Focus on the side of it.
How effective.
So, yeah, so he's dropped Jason an email on the basis of that, and Jason said, yeah, you know, I'd love to have him over here working for me. And cut a long story short, put a sponsorship deal together where, you know, and 9 months later I was here. You know, I was on a plane over here, and here I am. I'm now head coach of Football Focus.
And we're loving to have you over here, because I have not yet had the pleasure of watching you play. No, I've heard a lot about you.
You haven't missed much.
Staunch defender, you're right in there, eh?
I don't know about that.
I do, because I've heard quite a bit. Now, obviously, not different generations, but different ages, basically about 10 years, well, a little bit more than 10 years difference between the two of you. Yourself back home. Now, I was talking to Andy on the way up here. He was interested to say about your club that you were with had no junior structure whatsoever. Yeah,
basically, obviously semi-pro team. We've got a senior team, a reserve team, which is mainly, it's meant to be under 23s, but it's still open age, so you get a few older players playing. And a Sunday team, which is basically like a pub team. And that's it.
Sometimes you get great football from those pub teams. You do. It brings out the best in them, but that's it. You know, there's no under 17s, 16s, that was it. And on the flip side, when I was younger, when I started playing when I was 4 or 5 at a team called Unicorn, and played up to when I was 16, and then that was it. There was no reserves or first team. So they had the junior setup, but then they had nothing to go forward to. So yeah, it's a lot different to over here, where I've seen, like, you know, you've got the senior team, reserve team, under 19s, and it goes, you know, obviously 17s all the way down to under 8s. And that's the same at strikers, and I'm pretty sure it's the same with all the clubs in Australia. So I think it's a good setup over here, like working your way up. Because obviously when you get to 16 in England, if you want to continue with the same club, you can't. You've got to go and find another team, and it's difficult to get in. Yeah. So yeah, it's much. What about yourself, Neil? With Bournemouth, have they got feeder clubs? They got junior academies or excellence?
Yeah, what you'll find now is the lower leagues now, because there's so many foreigners coming to the English game, because it is probably one of the best. You know, the EPL is the best without a doubt for the standard there. So a lot of the youngsters at these Premiership clubs, your Man United, your Liverpools, you know, your Arsenals, I find it really tough to break into the first team. So when they get to the age of 22, when they need first team football, these lads now are dropping down into the lower divisions, which is making the standard better and better. I mean, you know, even from I've seen it. You know, I was at Tottenham as a kid from the age of 14, and I left there when I was 22. It was the same for me. You know, I was never going to break into the first team. The big money, the Premiership would just start.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough to break in there.
You're not going to get a look in unless you're exceptional. You know, and if someone does get injured, very rarely they look at the youngsters coming through. They go and buy someone. You know, they can go and buy someone, you know, from abroad who's, you know, who's a quality player and has got that experience. And that's what they look for. They look for experience, you know. So, but you know, yeah, like I say, I left there on the same basis, and it's still happening now. So you can imagine the league. I mean, that was in '94 when I left Tottenham to go to Bournemouth. So, and that was then. So you can see now that the standard has just got better and better. And I found that getting towards the end of my career, and I was thinking, Christ, these kids are getting quicker and quicker now.
They're amazing, aren't they?
Oh.
Now, just before we go to the break, I just want to ask you, Neil, that day that you actually retired, because you think about it, but that day you retired, because, you know, like I said, club legend, you've got that under your belt, all those games under the belt, you can't sneeze at that, you're very loyal to your club. Yeah. What was that day like for you?
It was tough, because I was here, you know, I only finished playing last season.
Yeah.
So it was tough, and it just seemed weird when I was supposed to be going back to pre-season training. That day, you know, it wasn't there for me. I was ready to go back, and it was just weird because I knew really I wasn't going back. And then come the first game of the season, that was probably when it hit me the hardest. The first game of the season, that's when it hit me the most. And I thought, what am I going to do with myself? You know, and it was tough, but you know, I'm glad that I'm coaching now. I'm playing, and it's taken my mind off it all now. what's happening back home.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to your match next week against
Yeah,
White City.
yeah.
I'm definitely going to be going down there to have a look.
Tough.
But you know, we're going to talk about that later on anyway. Look, we're going to go for a short break, fellas. We're going to come back and we're going to talk all things Super League. So please stick with us because you're watching Full On Football.
Here we go.